Hey Defenders, welcome back. So in this video, I want to go over Wazuh's installation script that they provide for us that actually installs all components of our Wazuh architecture that's needed for a successful deployment. So if you guys remember in some of our previous videos where we first stood up our infrastructure, we stood up our Elasticsearch, Cabana, and Wazuh Manager servers, right? And we deployed a distributed deployment, right? Our Wazuh Manager was running on its own server, and our Elasticsearch and Cabana were running on its own server as well. And I love automation as much as the next guy, and Wazuh has actually provided a bash script that we can run that will actually install all the required software. So the Wazuh Manager, the Elasticsearch, and the Cabana software all for us with one script, and we'll deploy it and run it. So it makes our jobs a heck of a lot easier. We can now kind of mass deploy these a lot faster, and huge thanks to the guys at Wazuh for providing us with this script. So stick around and we will jump into it. But first, time for my shameless plug.
If you want to learn more about our company, head on over to opensecure.co. If you would like to hire us for a project, select the Hire Us button at the top of this video. To see firsthand the power of open source technology, take advantage of our interactive demo. Select the demo button and start exploring. Now let's get back to the video.
Alright, so I'm on their documentation page. I'm on the latest version, which is currently 4.1, and I'm on the installation guide page, right? For this demo, I'll just do an all-in-one deployment. I would highly recommend in any production environment you're doing a distributed deployment, so distributed being this guy to where our Wazuh Manager runs on a separate physical server than our Elasticsearch nodes, right, and our Cabana server. And if you're a little confused at that type of architecture, go ahead and check out the video that's popping up on the screen now, and that will walk you through the architecture that's required. But for this video, I'll assume that you guys are already familiar with that, and we'll go ahead and go into the all-in-one installation. Right? So in the all-in-one deployment page, we can either select unattended or step-by-step. We've covered the step-by-step in some of my previous videos where we installed the Wazuh Manager, we installed Elasticsearch, and we installed Cabana. But now let's go ahead and take advantage of their bash script that they provide, and let's do the unattended installation. So they give us a command, so it looks like we're just grabbing a bash script that's hosted on this website here. So let's go ahead and check this out and see exactly what we're grabbing. It's always good to kind of verify what you're grabbing, what script you're grabbing out on the internet. So we can kind of go ahead and dive into this. So it looks like we're installing the version 4.1.4, which is currently their latest version, Elasticsearch version 7.10. And so these are some variables. It detects if we're Debian or not, okay, with a yum or an apt-get. Blah, blah, blah. Looks like we're doing... Looks like it's checking to see if our system's compatible. There's some debugging we can do. There's some variables that we can set with these guys. There's some parameters or arguments we can set with these guys if we want to debug or ignore health checks while running the script. Grab some prerequisites. So Elasticsearch uses OpenJDK, which is a open source Java that's free to use. Looks like we're setting our Java home. We're adding the Wazuh repo, okay, installing the manager, okay, installing Elasticsearch, installing Filebeat. Again, remember Filebeat is the service that's responsible for shipping the logs from the Wazuh Manager to Elasticsearch. So we're installing that, okay, installing Cabana, running a health check, checking installation, and then we're done. Okay, cool. So pretty basic, but very nice to have, right? So I actually haven't run this yet, so we're going to be running it for the first time together. So let's see if we get into any roadblocks. Hopefully not. So I'll go ahead and copy this command. I have logged on to this box here. I've allocated 4 gigs of memory to this, which is fine for a demo environment, but nowhere near enough for a actual production environment. Elasticsearch and Cabana are both very memory intensive, and you want to make sure you have allocated enough memory so your servers can handle the load. So we'll go ahead and paste that curl command in there. I'll go ahead and make this bigger for you guys. And through the power of editing, I'll just kind of I'll skip ahead to any important parts. Well, okay, so we added the Wazuh repo, it's good. We're installing the manager. Let me make sure I kind of jumped the gun. Hopefully we didn't really need to add anything in terms of customization. Let's see, Kibana configuration. Okay, so we could bind Cabana to a specific interface if we wanted to, which I won't worry about in this example. And it looks like it goes ahead and runs. Yeah, it does. Okay, so it grabs the script with the curl command, and then it immediately executes it. So that's fine. But if you wanted to add, I guess, your customization, you could do that accordingly. Oh, but actually it looks like this is done after the fact. Okay, so that's fine. So it'll install Cabana for us, and if we want to change the interface that Cabana is listening on, we can go ahead. It's telling us so that we can go ahead and do that. So it looks like it's progressing toward, okay, it installed Elasticsearch, installed Filebeat. Now it's working on the Cabana side of it. And this is actually running pretty quickly, so that's nice. And okay, it looks like it's been created. We have our credentials here, so it's actually setting up the XPack, which is required for, or which allows us to control who can access our Cabana app or not. So let's see if I go into the Etsy Cabana.em. Oh, I get hit with this every time. Maybe it's server's way of telling me I need to migrate to VI. Okay, so there are Cabana.yaml settings. So it's actually not using the default Cabana.yaml that comes bundled with Elasticsearch, but we're replacing it with our own. We've generated some certs. Okay. And we can see that Cabana will bind to any interface that's listening on this box, which in this demo is this guy. So I should be able to just point to this in a web browser. HTTPS. This guy. Well, what's the port? I think it was 443. Yeah, 443. Okay. And I'm assuming this won't work. No. Connection time. Okay, let's see if we can do some digging. Well, okay, let's make sure that it's that all services are running. Okay. Let's see if Elasticsearch is running. Okay. Okay. Let me go ahead and bind to Cabana to our actual interface. I'm actually going to do the same with Elasticsearch as well. So for the server host, I'll just replace it with my IP address. Localhost 9200. Let me bind Elasticsearch to that as well. And to do that, I'll go into Elasticsearch's Elasticsearch.yaml, and for the network host, I'll change to an IP address, and I'll go ahead and stop Cabana and restart Elasticsearch. And looks like that's running, so that's good. Let me do a Filebeat test output. Connection refused. Okay, so let me add my IP address to to Filebeat. So Filebeat is now knowing that, hey, Elasticsearch is running on this IP address. Oh, that's annoying. Do we have an option to, let's see what this Elasticsearch tuning looks like. Okay, that's password. I don't care about that. Actually, what we can do is tell Elasticsearch not to care, or tell Filebeat not to care about the IP that's associated with the cert. Okay, let me do a quick Google search. Filebeat ignore IP with cert. Okay, here we go. Verification mode. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so let's go ahead and set it to just certificate. So you can see that full or strict verifies that the server's host name or IP address matches the name identified with the certificate. Well, we just changed the IP address from the local host to this guy, so that's why this is breaking. So we can tell Elasticsearch to ignore that, and let me find the right option for that. I assume it's just SSL dot verification mode underscore mode, and I'll set it to just certificate. Let's see if that works. Okay, and that works. Cool. All right. So I'm changing it just as certificate, so it's ensuring that the cert that we're providing was signed by our trusted CA, and that's it. It's not doing hostname or IP address association with it, so that's good. And actually, I probably need to do that with Cabana as well. I think. Okay, here we have, okay, it's already set to certificate. Okay, that's good. All right, so Elasticsearch is restarted. Let's restart Cabana. And I like to use the watch command when Cabana is starting up to verify that it's starting up correctly. HTTP server running. Does say it's getting a response error. Let's see if that means anything. Let me grab the IP address for this guy again. So now let me run a netstat to make sure that we're listening on those ports. Yeah, we are. Okay, so that's good. So let's see now if we can hit it with our browser. And it's still timing out. Why is it timing out? Oh! Let me stop this. So, let me see if this works. I'll be annoyed if it does. And it did. So, I have my local firewall running. I always forget that this comes as running by default, so it'll block me from my browser trying to connect to this. This firewall D service will stop it. So just make sure you go ahead and kill it. And I usually go ahead and disable it as well. All right, and now we can connect to Cabana. And our credentials were admin, I believe. Oh, and it looks like our login page is a little different. And okay, here we go. It's creating our index pattern, so that's good. No agents were added. Yeah, it's expected. But here we go. Okay, so in order to improve security, highly recommended is change Elasticsearch's default password. So of course you want to do that. So okay, so let's change our admin account now. And they provide us with another bash script. Let's go ahead and check this out. Let me practice what I preach and actually see what I'm downloading before I download it. And not just blindly trust them. Okay, so it's looking to run with privileges. There's some arguments we can set. We can change all users. We can change a specific user, which is what we'll do in this case. Okay, we can set the new password. It runs a command to grab the host. Okay, that's fine. Check if it's installed, read all the users and the internal user. Okay, let's go ahead and check this guy out. See what this file looks like on the box itself. Sorry, I may be getting into more than you guys really care about, but if you're just interested in installing everything and then changing the user, I'll get to the user here in a sec. But here's this internal users.yaml file. Okay, so it looks like all of our users are stored in here. Wazuh admin. Okay, cool. Check users, creates a backup. Okay, so we back up. Oh, so it looks like it generates a random password for us if we don't want to give our own. Change the password, runs the security script. Okay. So let's go ahead and run this. And it shouldn't run it for us. It should just download it. Okay, so here we have it here. And let's go ahead and change this password, bash. So I'll call the bash script -u, and I'll provide my username, which will be admin. And I'll do a password of please subscribe. Hit enter. And so it looks like it's backing up that YAML file that we were just looking at and is now providing our password. Password change. Remember to update the password. Oh, yeah, true. So if these are using the same admin and admin, which they are, okay, so Filebeat is authenticating to Elasticsearch with our username and password as well, right? So it's using certificate and it's using username and password. So if I do a Filebeat test output, this should fail. Yep, and we get an unauthorized. So let me change the password here to please subscribe. Let me spell that right. And if we test, okay, we get an okay. We'll restart Filebeat. And we'll need to do the same to Cabana. Oh, actually, no, we won't, because it's using a different username and password to run. So that's actually good. It separates its roles. The Cabana service doesn't need the admin role to run, so it uses the Cabana server username and password, which, you know, we could actually, let's go ahead and change this too. We don't want a default as well, which I think we can just run the same script. And I'll make that one please subscribe as well. Actually, let's see what happens if we don't provide a password. Let's see if it generates a random one for it. It looked like based on the script that it should. Okay, yeah, it does. The password for user Cabana server is blank. And I'll go ahead and update this. Oh. And we will restart Cabana. And now this should, oh yeah, because it's trying to, we probably need to clear our cache. I'll just go ahead and open this in an incognito window because it's trying to authenticate with our previous password that we used. And okay, looks like Cabana is coming back, so that's good. Provide a password of admin and, or sorry, username as admin, password of please subscribe. And we're in. Cool. So now we're not using our default passwords, which is always, of course, best practice to change, especially if you're going to be hosting this external. Well, regardless, it's always best practice to change. And there you have it. You're now ready to point your Wazuh agents to your new manager, right? And we have a full running Wazuh Manager, a full running Elasticsearch, Cabana, and Filebeat, all with just a script, one script, right? Like how easy is that? That's great. It makes our lives a heck of a lot easier. In the next video, I'll touch also on, now granted, this is for a all-in-one deployment where, again, I heavily advocate if you're in a production environment, you want to have a distributed solution, which would be this. And it looks like they also provide a unintended installation for this as well. So we'll make another video about. So be on the lookout for that one. And I appreciate you guys spending the time with me, and I will see you in the next video.